in a way, I always felt my job, if I had one, was to mess it up.
In de VPRO Cinema Collectie praten we met gerenommeerde regisseurs over een doorbraakfilm die aansluitend wordt uitgezonden. Vandaag de Ierse regisseur Jim Sheridan, die begin jaren 90 de gemoederen flink wist te verhitten met het politieke drama In the Name of the Father, over Gerry Conlon, die onterecht wordt opgesloten voor een Ire aanslag op een pub in Guildford.
With what emotion did you write that script? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was kind of angry at the whole situation. I'm not like naive in the sense that I believe, you know, you do these great injustice story and you have a big change. I actually think the authorities are better off putting innocent people in jail. Because when you put innocent people in jail, everybody gets into an uproar. And they have marches and they have demonstrations. But essentially what you're doing is you're saying to the population at large, be very careful, because even if you're innocent, you can go to jail. Which is much more of a deterrent than actually looking for the people who did it.
Did you have a mission making the film?
Yeah, to make the non-violent father the hero, to stop the stupid fucking war. You know, like, you have an objective which is like something good. And once you have an objective that you believe in your heart and soul will, I think, will change something or help to change or be a small step on the road to change, then nobody can deter you because you feel you're doing good. So you can go through walls when you're like that. Whereas if you're kind of doing it for the money or doing it for ulterior motives, you're easily deflected. And to make a movie, like you're in the Grand National, you know, you're jumping big fences and you have to keep going.
5 people are dead and 75 seriously injured as a result of the IRA's no-warning bomb attack on the Guildford pub. Parliament has passed the Prevention of Terrorism Act, which allows terrorist suspects to be held in police custody for up to 7 days.
7 days? Jeez.
It's the same here. 7 days, no difference.
London and arrested 19 suspects.
We can't pretend people won't be inconvenienced. Some of them may not deserve it. That's why we shall use these powers as selectively as possible.
I can understand why anyone wants to cast Daniel Day-Lewis, but still, why did you cast him for this film?
Well, Daniel had done My Left Foot with me, you know. I know he knew he was politically sensitive to the subject. I knew his commitment level.
Talk about commitment. He goes very, very, very far for a role.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that as a director?
It's easy, you know. I mean, for me, it's great because he's so committed, it kind of focuses the movie in a way and allows me to be freer, you know.
But he let himself be detained, harassed, tortured almost. Do you allow that as a director?
Yeah, you do. But
you're happy with it, man.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, not because it's not like he's doing it like this stupid, fucking, idiotic self-abuse. You know, really, what's going on is I said to him, there's a problem in the movie that I can't do right, and I can't resolve in the writing. And the problem is, nobody will understand why the guy signs his life away. They're always going to assume he's guilty. So he I suppose in his head he thought, well, I better be really messed up. So he because he didn't sleep for a few days, when we did those scenes, he was really out there. And I suppose there's something in body language, something in attitude that you buy. You know, you go like, he's nuts. He's signing it because he's nuts. He's been abused. But you can't act that. There's certain things that you have to go a little bit further and be in a state that's in your body.
Who taught you how to make the bomb, Gerry?
I never made any bombs.
Did Annie make the bomb, Gerry?
Is Annie marrying, Jerry? Is Annie marrying? Annie who?
Annie Maguire!
My Aunt Annie. Oh, aye, Annie made the bomb and Mother Teresa planted it.
What was Carol Richardson's part in this operation?
Are you marrying?
What?
Are you marrying?
She's nothing to do with it.
You're very good with actors.
Yeah, that's because I don't know what's going to happen next. It's really simple. I get into the situation, I write it as best I can, and then I try to fuck it up and say, I don't know what's going to happen next, I don't know what they're going to say next, and I don't know what they're going to do. So I get to the point of control, and then I let it all go. And because I let it all go, nobody can make a mistake, because there's no prescriptive formula. It's just what's going to happen next. What nobody ever talks about movies is the belief system. Everybody talks about mythology, narrative, story, this. No, belief system is what it is. There's a belief system being projected, yeah? So you either buy into it or buy out.
But as a director, how do you believe? How do you know you believe what you're seeing in front of you?
I don't have to be in the room. I could be sitting next door here and I fucking hear you talking. I know whether you're telling lies or not. That's just it. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I don't know how that happened to me. You know, I just have a system from growing up, you know. I'm fearless in that regard. I don't in my own life, I'm not that good, you know. I can be duped, fellas can fool me. But once I'm on the set, I'm like, okay, now I'm at war. Now it's a war. Now I have to look out and be careful. And just my antennae go up and I'm like, that's a lie. That's not true. That's fucking that. Forget that. Next.
With someone like Daniel Day-Lewis, you believe him all the time, or do you have to?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because Daniel is so perfect that he's such a great technical actor, probably the greatest that ever lived, I would say. Maybe Charles Lawton. But you're going from Charles Lawton to Daniel. In between, there's a lot of great actors. Brando, De Niro, maybe the English fellow who played Henry V, you know, famous.
Laurence Olivier?
Yeah, Laurence Olivier, technically good. Not as good as Daniel. Lawton, maybe as good as Daniel. But there's nobody as good as Daniel technically. But that's a different thing. So Daniel technical is like, you can do anything. You know, so in a way, I always felt my job, if I had one, was to mess it up. Was to introduce little bits of stone and mess it up and make it feel as real as I could and fuck it round and, you know.
Does he allow that?
Yeah, well, he can't stop it.
You're the boss.
Not even that I'm the boss. It's just like attitude, you know.
What are you doing here?
I'll come over to your auntie Annie's to get you a lawyer. They arrested everybody in the house.
What? For fuck's sake?
Conspiracy to murder.
Oh, no. For fuck's sake, no. Jeez.
Did you do it? Did you do it, son?
No, I did not.
What's your movies? How would you describe them?
I don't know. It's a love of the mother. It's fighting the dad. You know what I mean? I don't know. You don't know yourself as well as you know others, you know.
But this time, the dad is very good. You're not fighting the dad. How did your own dad react to this film?
Very interesting. He loved, because he was always the negative guy in the movies, like The Field. The father was bad. In the plays I wrote, sometimes I put my own father's name in it. And my mother would go to the theatre and say, that's you. And I was like, ugh. And then I realized, you know, it's not really my dad, it's just the situation. So then I realized I have to make a movie about a good dad, and I would tell him, and he'd be totally happy. He'd be drinking his pint totally. And to get that smile out of him, I would tell him 20 times. And then I made the movie.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And I made the movie, and so on the opening night, I said, the prototype from My Left Foot was my mother, and the prototype for this is my father, and he's sitting there, and he's coming up on stage, and he walked up, and he got a big clap, and he hugged me, and in this ear, he said, I love you. And I pushed him back to look in his eyes, because I'd never heard that before. And I just looked at him for a while. The audience kept clapping. Pete Postlethwaite told me he was crying in the back. The audience went that far, the emotion, right? That's fucking 500 feet. And he was dead 2 weeks later. He just died like that. That's mad.